Hey guys, Joshua Ryan with FandomWire. How are you?
Awesome, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, this new Blu-ray release gave me a reason to go back and revisit Mystery Team, which I admittedly hadn't seen in a while. It's kind of a wild experience to watch it again in modern times from, what I remembered all this time ago. With the physical media release from Vestron, was this something you guys were pushing for? Were you guys behind trying to get this out on Blu-ray, or how did that come about?
I honestly think that it comes down to a kid named Andy Young, who is not a kid. He's a fully grown man who is actually an Emmy nominated editor. And we don't, first of all, no, we were not pushing personally to get, we've always wanted there to be one.
Right.
But he was a huge supporter of the movie back in the day. And when he got nominated for an Emmy last year, he said to me, I think I'm going to use this clout to reach out to American Cinematheque and see if they would do, if I could host a mystery team screening. Would you
Oh,
guys come
nice.
and do it? And I was like, of course. And I think that and the fact that Vestron was happening, like, and the fact that he went to American Cinematheque, which is a legitimate place, created a narrative that made them go like, I think there might, and also by the way, it was fully sold out screening.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
then and it sold out fairly quickly, not to toot our own horns or whatever, but like I think it made them realize like, oh, this might be some little piece of sort of like recent cinema history that's been like largely overlooked.
Right. Well, that's awesome. Thank goodness for him. So this kind of goes into what you were saying about this sold out show. This movie is considered like a cult classic. It has developed quite a following. With cult classics, it often takes a long time of building before they reach that cult status. When did you guys start to see or notice that maybe this movie was kind of building up this underground like crowd of people that were really supporting it and loving it?
I mean, like it did have a pretty decent life in the beginning of like streaming movies on like streaming. Like it was one of the first movies on like Netflix, like when Netflix went like pivoted just from like disc based whatever.
Right.
And so you would hear or be aware of like people like, oh, I just saw it on this platform or I just saw it on Hulu or whatever when Hulu became a thing or like these different things. But it wasn't really, I feel like, until frankly that screening and I had like people that I just know from like the comedy world that I just like thought were like, oh, these are friends of mine, come to the screening and be like, oh yeah, I used to watch this like when I was living at my grandma's in Missouri after college. I watched this every day on Hulu or whatever, and it like got me
Right.
through a tough time or whatever. Like that I felt like that kind of stuff really like catalyzed for me, like, oh wow, it really has built up that reputation, and that was very meaningful.
Like I
Yeah,
knew
it's
that there were
very
people.
rewatchable.
Oh, thank you. I knew that there were people who had seen it at the time for whom it meant stuff. People like Andy Young and others who were members of Sword Club and whatever. Which was a thing if you came to more than one screening of the movie. But it really wasn't. Yeah, and for me at least, until the screening at American Cinematheque, that I realized like, wait, I think like fair amount of these people discovered this after the fact. And like you're
Right.
saying, Josh, like it has slowly accumulated people who are finding. I love to find a movie that like people don't know about, and like I'm like, whoa,
Hmm.
this is and then it's got cool people in it and whatever. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
it's not crazy to me.
No, it's great. Um, DC, question for you. Going back and watching, I don't know, it'd probably been a long time since you watched it. I guess a lot of people don't like to watch their own work. If you revisited it for the Blu-ray, did your views on some of the jokes or the writing or your performance? I know some people go back and watch their old stuff and they kind of cringe and they're like, I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd done this. What were your thoughts on revisiting it?
Oh, that's such a great question. Yeah, it was like predominantly like I feel like mostly seeing it at that screening in LA, that like that was my first time seeing it like since we'd done the commentary probably.
Right.
Um and it did like yeah, just like I think like for my money I was like, "Oh, I feel like maybe I'm like a better actor or performer now," but there's also moments in it where I'm like, "Oh, wow, you did a good job. That's great." Or like
Yeah.
the just like a lot of the writing stuff. I found it interesting to be like, oh, this joke that I really liked didn't play that well to the live audience, but Dom spilling chocolate milk fucking
Oh
tears the house
man.
down, that I think just gives you an
Right.
appreciation for like something that we were very intentional about is like trying not to be too good for like any type of joke. So it's like you can have super wordy verbal humor, but also be sure to have a guy like fall down every 10 pages.
Right.
And that I think like did us is still serving us well.
Well, you guys have been making comedy together for a long time, obviously. When it came to taking the leap from your sketches to a feature film, was Mystery Team always what you had in mind, or did you have a whole bunch of different ideas that you were trying to pin down what was going to be the move?
Before we had even made like a lot of Derek sketches, maybe I'm wrong, Dan, or any Derek sketches, Dan directed and Dom and Donald and myself like wrote like a pilot that was in
Ooh.
development at Comedy Central.
Oh,
That was
Yeah.
like about like a fraternity that's like views
In
themselves
New
as
York.
Animal House, but they're at an NYU style whatever, like a NYU style like school in the city. That again
Bobby
kind of has that.
Moynihan's in it.
Bobby's in it. Brian Husky's in it. It has this sort of like a similar thing to Mystery Team of like that like anachronism where they don't really fit in the place that they're in.
It is a very
And
similar thing. Yeah.
there's like a sweetness to them, but also they're like offensive idiots in some way without realizing it.
right.
Um, and then we had a script that we tried to shop around to get made as a movie after we had like some momentum from like Derek stuff becoming popular. So it always been kicking
Mhm.
around that we wanted to do something bigger, but this was the idea that made sense in terms of like what we were able to achieve like scope wise, with also an idea that we were like really excited about.
Yeah, because Donald had at one point pitched to, I think, the Encyclopedia Brown people the idea of a grown-up Encyclopedia Brown, and that fell on deaf ears or whatever. And when he brought it to the group, like maybe it could just be like its own thing. And even though we were really excited about the pilot and we were really excited about the previous script, immediately this one just felt way more like a movie to all of us, and we all just put our heads together and like saw the thrust of it at least
Right.
in unison. So the previous scripts were like they were great, but this one was very obviously like so I guess to answer the question, like we were always intending to try to make a movie. Um it wasn't always going to be Mystery Team, but once it became Mystery Team, it became clear that that was the inevitable. It had to be
Hmm.
this one.
100%.
So now you said this one feels the most like a movie out of what you were talking about. Speaking of going from directing sketches to movies, what was the biggest hurdle, or was there anything where you felt like maybe I'm in over my head, maybe this is too big? What was that transition like?
Uh, yes, yes, and yes. I mean, when we were doing the sketches, the entire crew was my brother holding a boom, and it's oftentimes DC or somewhere, Dom or Donald holding the boom.
Hmm.
And then I was running the camera, and this was a much bigger operation. And the way that we had sort of like been able to be nimble in the past was different. Like I remember when we were shooting sketches, like we would start shooting a scene and then be like, wait, no, let's go to a different location and
Right.
shoot it somewhere else. And there was a lot of growing pains in terms of figuring out that that wasn't, I mean, we knew that wasn't going to be the case going in, but I didn't, when I designed all of my shots thinking that certain things were going to be possible in a certain time frame, and then it became very clear when the rubber hit the road that they weren't. And
Hmm.
we made adjustments, and it was, it was difficult. Um, but I mean, ultimately, it was a learning experience. It was a formative one. Nowadays, of course, I know that I would be able to solve the like production logistical issues and the like how to shoot it in an efficient way thing instantly today. But
Hmm.
I don't, at the end of the day, like I didn't have that experience going into it, so I don't know how I was supposed to necessarily know what to do. DC,
Yeah.
you watch it from the outside. I can only really speak from my perspective.
Yeah, I would say it felt pretty like it didn't feel that dissimilar from doing the sketches, like because Dan would do some for what like literal just like capabilities we had some pretty like ambitious stuff even with the sketches or whatever. Like it would be like, okay, this is a sort of like Tarantino-y, Scorsese-y thing, so I kind of want to go around the table like they do in a Scorsese movie or a Tarantino movie,
Hmm.
and we're gonna like do it. So we're gonna do it 22 times because
This is all one
it's
take.
all one take. And so it was like similar to like some stuff in Mystery Team. So that didn't feel that different, but I do think it's like having to bear in mind like you're going to do this thing then and then you're going to hop over and do this thing and they're all going to go together. It's like things as a film fan you're aware that they do when they're shooting features, but actually like living it as most of our like first feature experience was like pretty wild.
I can imagine. Um, when it comes to the comedy aspect, was there a harder time writing comedy for feature film? And was there any comedy that maybe, because there are definitely moments of this movie that get, dark and push a little boundaries. Was there anything that had to wind up on the cutting room floor that you're like, that's too far or maybe that's too dark, anything like that?
Um,
It was 2009, baby. We weren't that worried
yeah.
about that yet.
Um, like Kay Cannon's character had like a penis tattoo, had a tattoo of a
Mm.
flaccid penis on her body that we thought, I think we were like, that's like such a weird thing to have that I literally like drew on her while
I
she was like,
believe at the end of the day, why that got cut was A, we were desperate to cut time.
yeah,
B, it looked not like a tattoo, but
no,
like
it looked like
something
something I'd
he
drawn
had
on a makeup
drawn on her
pencil. Yeah,
back, and it
totally, for
was
sure.
weird,
Yeah.
and we'd cut
Took
it.
you out of it. So like, yeah, any number of things like did for any number of reasons, I think like not make it into the film. But like I think we in general like we liked the idea that they would be like, no, you really want it to feel like an R-rated movie because these guys are living this like R-rated reality because they're these PG G-rated characters. And so, it made sense to sort of like highlight that contrast.
But a mistake we made that I'm just remembering now was like in pre-production, we realized that like there was some thinness to like the story. And we at that point we're already kind of budgeting out for the date for the amount of pages we were shooting. And then we just like threw an extra probably 15 or 20 pages in and we're like, that'll be fine.
Right.
Um, and it wasn't.
That's
Who
funny.
knew?
I'd forgotten
I,
about that.
well,
Yeah.
I'm a big physical media collector. As you can see, I have, some back here if you can see my shelf. So I'm very pleased to be able to add this to my collection. Just one quick question. I'm sure you guys have probably been asked this a lot. Was there ever talk of a sequel? Was there ever any chance of a sequel?
Yes, but they didn't make enough money.
Of
It's
course,
the
always
short
comes down
answer
to
to
money.
that, right, DC?
Yeah, I would say
We
so.
would have sooner just done like a follow-up Derek movie that was we talked about being more kind of in the tone of like a Ghostbusters or something, um
Hmm.
but yeah, it didn't make enough money.
Yes, I
Of
think
course.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's basically it.
Lo-
It's good too because
logistics.
then you
Well,
don't have to you like get relieved of having to like do the comedy sequel thing where you're like, well, the fun premise you inherently changed it because and then you have to
right.
kind of be like, but they're back again to the same way they were before they learned the lesson from the first
We
movie.
did at one point we were trying to pitch it as like an animated series, I think.
Oh,
Um
That I
that would
think
be interesting.
feels a little more like you could actually see a path there. I don't know, like I think that yeah.
True
Especially
sequel
because
was
there was a
probably
time
never.
when lots of movies were getting adapted into like animated series. That used to be a thing all the time. So
So
cool
if people
idea.
wanted to take this clip and start like a groundswell of public demand for
True.
that, by all means, like go ahead. I'm not going to stop you.
Yeah.
We'll see what we can do. Well, thank you guys. It was a pleasure to talking to you. You were great, easy to talk to. I love the movie. It's so funny. Um, so thank you so much. Hopefully I'll get to talk to you guys again.
Thank you,
Thanks so much,
Josh.
Josh.
Really, really appreciate it.